Alright, so welcome back to another JavaScript project. So we're going to keep building on our little tiny GitHub profile site-ish thing. Okay, so here's what we have so far. We have so it has some helper function defined, and we create a form where user can input their username, and once they input their username, they can see their basic information. Alright. So that was pretty cool. But now what I want to do is go ahead and let me show the working version again, so we could get a sense of what do we need to keep doing. And the working version is available at boyan boyan12.github.io/github-profile. So let me show the page. Here it is. Here's the working version. You can input your GitHub username. My username is here. And then here you go. So you can see something like this. So the second section can implement the repos, and then with the graph. The graph is really the hardest thing to implement, and with the contribution calendar and your recent GitHub activity. So probably we're going to do. How about let's actually do the graph first. So today we're going to do graph, and then in the next video we're going to finish up with the rest of the stuff because that's pretty simple. Alright, so now let's go ahead and talk about how can we working with graph. So to work with graph, we need to use chart.js. This is the dependency we're using, chart.js. And then here is their CDN source. You can add it to your index.html. I think, oh, I already add this. It's at here. Make sure I add this before your app.js. Okay, before this. Alright, so first thing should come up is the chart.js, then our custom app.js. Alright, so now in here, what we could do is we still need to fetch the information. You know what? We'll do repos and chart at the same time because it seems like I made them depend on each other. Alright, so first thing is always let's see, is there additional HTML elements we need to add? There is. So basically we'll add an HTML element. Let's add a BR. HR just means horizontal line. And then now we could say div text center. And then here we will just create a div with class. So does that actually matter? Cost 3. And then ID is repos-div. By the way, I'm using Emmet, which if you're using VS Code, it should be automatically installed for you already. And then we're going to create HRBR again. There's shape of BR before this. Alright, so in here we're going to create we're just going to copy this, and then we'll go ahead and add an H4 here. Repos with languages. I know that doesn't make sense, but well, that's just how it is. And then next is we'll use a new HTML element. It's pretty recent. I'm pretty sure this is more like HTML5 specific elements called canvas. This is for chart.js, as they can add chart to us. And then we'll specify some property there. Specifically, we need to specify width is 400 pixel. Height is 400 pixel. Class is image fluid. And the style, which is at the inline style here, is margin left 400 pixel. So hard code this. What we could do is not hard code this part. But for now, we'll just focus on the content. All right, so that's all the HTML contents we need. Now let's take a look on how can we go ahead and fetch the repos information. So it turns out the endpoint to fetch a repo, a user's repo, is at here. Oops. Here's the user's endpoint for fetch a repo for a specific user. So what we could do now is set fetch, and then the username here. All right, so now what we'll do is we'll say .then, so change this to a JSON, and then .then data. All right, so in here we're going to create two local variables. First is var repo length. It's just going to be an empty array, and then we're also going to create var repo length count, which is going to be an object. And then I think I need this. So now what we can do is actually we're also going to add this check here. So this basically checks if it said not found, then we're just going to say no such user again. And then now we're going to loop through the data, which the data is supposed to be something look like this. So let me go ahead and show the endpoint just in my browser so you guys can know what that endpoint looks like. Whoops, I typed wrong username. Alright, so here is how the data should display. So as you can see, it's an array, then dictionary is then with some contents in here. So ID, node ID, name, full name, private. So we really care about this only. We really care about this. Alright, so now I'm gonna use a new kind of loop. It's called for in loop. Basically, this is like how you loop a array in Python. So instead of like I equals 0, I less than a repo length, or I less than data.length I plus plus, we just use this shorthand notation. And the I is going to be is it I the index number? Yeah, I is still the index number, I think. It's not the dictionary, I think. Let me just console.log I and take a look what will happen. So let me go ahead and take a look at that. Let's go ahead and copy, paste it to here. Let's take a look. All right, type my username. All right, let's take a look. Yeah, it's still the index number. So now what we'll do is we'll use the index number that we got. So basically, we will say var repo info. So we'll have a specific way for display the info. So we'll say repo info just to keep track of how we'll display this. And then we'll go create a line item as well. Wait, did I create a UL? Okay, in here we need to create a UL with ID repos and class code2, I think. And then now in here we could say let's go create a new line item. So we can say var li equals document dot create element. Let's just create an li here. And then we could say, so now what we actually want to care also is the two attribute, is the data, it's the name of the repository and the language that used. So we can display a chart. So what we could do now is we can say if data bracket I bracket language equals to no, means this doesn't exist. Then we will say var lang equals other. This is just shorthand notation for writing if statements without the curly braces. And I think it's one line only. So we will set the lang, which is the language, is to other if it's no. So it's no, that means it didn't detect a primary language used. Otherwise, we will say var lang equals to whatever the language is. Alright. Now what we could do is we're going to check for the fork. So we'll check is it forked or not. Because if it's forked, it will have gray and a little forked SVG icon as well. So we'll say if data bracket I bracket fork equals to true, we will say repo info plus equals to this. So we're gonna say we're using templating language again, and then basically this just set the class to fork, which later we will, if it had class fork in our CSS, we can change it to gray, and then their language, and then it's going to say forked. Okay. Alright, so now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and push and append the language information to our REPL links array. So what we could say now is if data bracket I bracket language equals to no. Because if it's no, we don't want really append no, we want append others. So it means it's other language that used. And then otherwise we just if it's not no, we can just say REPL links dot push data bracket I bracket language. Again, also since the fetch is async, means that since it's async, we cannot use even if we define these two variables in global scope, we cannot use this outside of this fetch because of how it works. So you can only do all the process instead of the fetch. Alright, so now what we can say is we'll append this to REPL, and then we'll actually set a language now. So we're gonna create a new. So we'll say if let's see. Yeah, okay. So if lang equals to no. Actually, so we'll say if data somehow, I don't even know what I'm doing here. Data bracket I bracket language equals to no. So checking is this no, then we'll set same variable to no. I don't really know what's happening here, but since it works, we'll just keep it like that. Otherwise, it's going to be equals to data bracket language. I don't know what I'm doing here. I just waste. Because sometimes we'll speak the code out. You will find, why did I do this? I don't even know. All right, halfway done. Now is really the hardest part. So we will say, we're gonna say if lang equals to no, and repos, let's see, and repo length and repo length count. This is going to store like how many languages is used. Does it, if it has 2 Python repo in a Python, it's going to say Python key is Python, value is 2, and then we're going to say other equals undefined. So basically what happening here is if the length is no, and thus the repo length count should have an other key. But the undefined specifically check does this key exists. If it doesn't exist, it's going to return undefined. So if it return undefined, what we want to do is we want to set repo length count other equals to 1. So we're gonna create this key other, and then we're gonna set it to 1 because this key doesn't exist, so we can just safely set it to 1, no problem. Otherwise, we'll say if length equals to null, and then this checks if it's other, so it's a language no. And if the language is indeed no, but other does exist, so because the repo length count other doesn't return a fine, since it is going to recurse up to down, left to right, excuse me. Since it doesn't execute this, that's mean repo length count of key other does exist. So now what we can do is just go ahead and add this. So we can say repo length count bracket other plus plus. Basically, put whatever the value is. Basically, put whatever the value is. Whatever the value in that card is. Whoops, wait. Sorry about that. Something wrong with my browser there. Let's see. Alright. Excuse me. Alright, so now what's happening here is basically it takes whatever the value is. If it's 1, it's going to become 2. If it's 2, it's going to become 2 straight. Plus plus, the shorthand notation for plus equals to 1. Or repo length count bracket other plus equals to repo length count bracket other plus 1. Alright, so now what we want to do is check otherwise. They're probably much easier to do this, but otherwise, if the length is not null, but nonetheless, the repo length count, it doesn't have this thing. It doesn't have this language, so it's going to be undefined. If it's still undefined, if it's undefined, then what we will say is repo length count bracket length equals 1. So this is similar to no, but it just handle it's not null. So if it's like a specific language like JavaScript, TypeScript, Python, Ruby, etc., I'm gonna say repo length count length, whatever the language is, to 1. And then finally, what we're going to say, if it's none of these, we can safely assume, at least I don't think there's any other case, we can safely assume that language is not null, and the language already exists in our object. Then we can just go ahead and do this. So repo length count, but instead of bracket others, what we could say is length plus plus. So this is a way how we handle this repo length and repo length count. Later you will see why do we have these two. Technically we only need to have one. We really just need to have repo length, but I don't know why I created that. I just realized I actually just need one. Alright, so now what we could do is we will append to the body, and then we can say now is if repo info dot includes fork. That means this repository is forked indeed. What we want to do is we're gonna add this SVG icon. So this is going to have a forked SVG icon. Otherwise, the inner HTML. So inner HTML just set these line items. Oh, whoops. It's going to have a different, just going to have regular repository, the to SVG icon there. And then finally, we need to go append this. So you can say document .get element by ID main .append child li. I'm not sure why I'm not using the ULID. Or is that because I had to append main to let it work? Alright, let's go take a look at that. See what that's work. Let me show this here. Alright, let me type my username. Alright, got one error. Uncoded reference error. Repo info not defined app 79. Okay, let's see. Oops. This is supposed to be repo with camel case. Alright. Alright, let's try again. Type my username again. Cannot reappend child? No. Okay, so that means there's something wrong with my HTML there. Let's see. There should, I think there, I forgot to give something a specific ID that I used. Alright, yeah, so in here, what we really want to say is around to say it's main. So no, wait, we don't have this, so we do. Wait. Okay, well, whatever. I'm just going to copy and paste the code there. There we have it. Now I have main there. Let's go ahead and take a look. See if this time it works. So now you can realize that we should probably going to make this hide before the. Oh, come on, 65. So many issues. 65 is because in the code in my original code I named this. Okay, let me just do a find. Oops. Let's just try to find repo info. Try out repo underscore info. Alright. I think now we are good to go. Just fix some error issue there. Let's go refresh again. Type my. Alright, so if there's some error, it doesn't actually get displayed. So we only display the forked repo for some reason. But it does have that SVG icon. I think I probably forgot something. Okay, yeah. So probably in line 65, I really need another comment. Otherwise, let's just say this. So no fork. So no fork here. Let's now take a look. Will this time it work? I'm afraid that I think 60 requests should be good to go. Submit. All right. Yep. Now we see. Okay. So now what we see is a plus sign. We can fix that part later. But now you can see all the repo. Okay. I don't know why we still have this. Did I copy the wrong SVG icon? Oh, because it contains fork here. Yeah, I also removed the class of the fork. I gave a class of fork because I just literally copy and paste. Yep. So now what you can see is we have different icons. So this repo icon for the file the repo that you create, and this fork icon for the repo that you forked. All right. So the last thing for today is we're gonna create some chart using chart.js. Believe it or not, this chart.js is actually the hardest thing for this project, but I will try my best to explain it. Alright, so now what we'll do is we'll really remember that, let's see, okay. So remember that we have this huge colors array here, right? So it contains all the possible colors that at least I believe the most all possible colors that shows on your GitHub repo. So in most repo, at the top, it should have a color bar that shows what color of a language it is. So now we'll go ahead and display using given color. So let me double check. Do I have others here defined? Alright, I don't have others. So other is just a custom key that I created for other. This is other. Alright, so now we're gonna move out of this for loop, and I'm gonna start creating our chart.js. So first thing is we'll define a new thing called var color array. It's going to store all the color that we're going to use. And how can we know what color are we going to use? Well, first let's take. So what we want to do now. Okay, so what we want to do now is, let's see. Let me see what's I'm doing here. Rappelings key. All right, so now what we want to do is go ahead and loop through this dictionary by key. That doesn't really do much, but we say var let I equals 0. We can also use a let off loop. I less than object dot keys repo links count dot links I plus plus. So basically this loops through a repo links count. Recall this is the object, which then is going to give us the key as an array. And now what we can do is use this. So recall that we have a hex to RGB, right? Now we're going to use that function. So we're actually going to set a try catch here. I will explain why we use a try catch in just a moment. And then here we'll say var. I'm not giving a really descriptive variable. So var string. And then we'll say let's see. So in here, actually I'm going to use templating later as well. So I'm going to say RGBA. So I think that would RGBA is just an additional way to specify. RGB is a red, green, blue with a opacity value. I think that what we use. And then here we will just say we use the hex to RGB function. So I say hex to RGB. And then we need a hex value, right? So what should be our hex value be? Well, we have that huge colors array, right? Colors object. So this will be the colors. As you can see here. Now what we need to do though is go ahead and get what language it is. So we will say object dot keys. So we'll say let me copy and paste it here. So what's happening here is that it said object dot keys. It's basically get the keys, so all the language, actual language for this repo links count, and then I'm getting the ith element, and then basically what's going to happen, this is going to get the color. This is going to loop through all the different languages the user use, and this is going to get a given color, and the color is going to disappear. And then what's going to happen here is we're going to get, since we got a language here, and then we can use colors and get the respective hex value, and then we can change this to RGB. Alright, so now I'm gonna, so based on how it's written, it's going to return an object, so we can say .r. And then I don't know why they wrote the code like this, but I actually found this from Stack Overflow. So we say R, G, B, and I think I give 5 for opacity. But we should catch error is because sometimes the colors, even if it's gigantic, but sometimes some language does not include in there. That's so we still have some like a color that doesn't include, so just hard code a value for them. And then it's going to be RGBA 100, 100, 100. It's a same opacity 5. And then now let's go ahead and push this array. So RGBA thing to the color array. So you can say color dot push string. Alright, so now what we could say is actually use our chart.js. So what's happening here is we got the colors, different colors we need for different language, and now we can start using some chart.js stuff. So in here, what I would say is var ctx equals to document dot get element by id chart dot get context 2D. Specify what dimension we want to use, I guess. This is just like how canvas work. And then in here, I'm just going to copy the whole thing there. This is the chart.js. So you can say create my chart. You can make it a little bit more descriptive. Alright, so let's see. Alright, so basically we specify, we'll create a new chart object that we get from the chart.js thing, a chart.js CDN. And then put our, where do we want to push it to? CTX, which is this. And then the type is a pie chart. So with the data, data is going to be repo links filter. So filter, recall, is return an array that meets a certain condition, which specifies this unique value, unique function. And then basically for this, it's just going to return a unique language in a repo, in an array. And then here we can, I don't know why I said number of volt, we can say number of language per repo, number of repo per language, repo based on language. And then object of values, basically this get the data, so which is, this basically get what values is the repo links count. So like we have like values, so like what is the actual value, so like how many repos actually use Python, maybe 2 repos, so now we're going to be. And the background color going to be colors we defined earlier, same for the border color, it's just going to be 1. Responsive is false, so we can customly set some stuff there, and then some skills as well. So this is some basic chart.js setting. We didn't do really fancy stuff with chart.js, but if you want, you could. Alright, so now let's go ahead and take a look. Refresh. Now let's go ahead and put our username here. Submit. All right, so we get cannot get context of no. Okay, did I define wrong? Let me take a look. So apparently it doesn't get the element. I think it doesn't have the element chart. Oh, okay. Probably the ID is wrong. Or I probably don't even have an ID. Who knows? Alright. So the chart there. Now I think it should work. So let me try to refresh again. And now let me try to type my username. Colors is not defined. Whoops, yeah. Same variable thing. Let's see. Here, say colors are. How do I replace with something else? What else? Let's see. Is this colors? Colors or color? Is it colors or color? Color. All right. So now, if we take a look, try again. Refresh. Submit here. All right, we got no error. And now, indeed, we got a little tiny chart. Shows all our language. So we can say our top repo that uses Python, 8 for HTML, 1 for Jupyter Notebook, 4 for JavaScript, 4 other language, and 1 TypeScript. So, and then you can see all these colors should be similar to the language that you see on the GitHub repo. Yeah, so that's about it. So if you like this video, please make sure you leave a thumbs up if you want to, and subscribe to this channel if you want to. I'm trying to post at least 1 video daily to improve our programming skills, and we're gonna talk about React soon. So stay tuned if you like React. We're gonna take some Jammer, and we're gonna talk about full stack JavaScript if you're interested in that. Alright, so thanks for watching. Again, please like and subscribe if you want to. And stay safe, stay healthy. And see you in the next video.